Hello, everyone. In this video, I am going to describe how you can check out books from the library, and also I will do a book talk, which I'll cover most of our genres and give you an explanation of some of the different genres and then some examples of some books you could check out if you're interested in those genres. To begin with, I want to show you on this page, this is the speed dial page where you can get to the library. So if you scroll about halfway down and then click on high school, you'll be taken to the library homepage. The links we need for today are currently all on the front page to try to make it as easy as possible. There's the Koha link, Koha to sign in and place a hold, and then there's a virtual tour. If you want to just search for a book, you can click on here. You log in right over here. To log in, you'll put in your student ID number and then your Google password. It's the same password you use for all of your Google materials for school. That includes Google Classroom and Google Drive. Once you log in there, you'll be able to search and to place holds. And you can search by topics, or if you have a particular book you'd like to check out, you can look for that specific book. If you do find a book that you would like to read, all you do is click the place hold button and then confirm the hold. If you do not confirm the hold, we will not get a notification that you have requested the book, and it will kind of be lost in the system. So please do make sure that you hit that button. The other option that you have back here on the Penn Manor Library webpage is to do the virtual tour. So the virtual tour is just our space this year. Basically, this is where we're storing the books for this year, and you can see we have the different genres. These letters with the blinking lights, these are all different genres. That's science fiction right there. There's graphic novels, horror. YA is actually nonfiction, mystery, suspense. There's the general fiction, romance, teen, war, Spanish language, and then you'll see over here sports. We also have adventure and fantasy are on this side. So you're able to navigate this, and what you can do is, let's say you are interested in a sports book. If you click on the SP for sports and then click here to see the books, you can browse the genre. So this allows you to, in a way, get that experience of browsing the shelves, even though you have to do it virtually. But you get a picture, a cover of the book, you get a description of the book. I can click on it. Okay, here's box out. And then I get a summary right over here, and I can place a hold right here. And if you're logged into Koha again, you're able to place that hold and get the book. So if you're not totally sure what you want, but you do know you want to look in or you want to browse in a certain genre, this may be a way to do it. And then you can just kind of flip through the pages here at the bottom to see all of the different holdings. So again, that is in order to check a book out. At this time, I'm going to switch over and describe to you some of the books that we have and some of the different genres that you can choose from. All right, so we'll begin with some genre books. I'm going to start with nonfiction, and the first two I have here are both true stories, and this one is called Unstoppable. It's by Anthony Robles. And in this one, it tells the story of Anthony as he's growing up. He is born without a leg, and it tells the story of his childhood and his mother and some of the difficulties he faces. In ninth grade, he decides he wants to wrestle in high school, and he's kind of told he'll be at a disadvantage, like it might be really difficult for him. And there some people are a little leery of him wrestling. By the time he's in 12th grade, he is a state champion, and he ends up he's hoping he can get a lot of scholarships, and he ends up not really being offered many because, again, the colleges kind of underestimate him. So he ends up going to Arizona State University, and there he wrestles and is able to become a national champion. So it's really an inspiring and interesting story about a guy who faced all these obstacles. He tells the story in a really easy to read, easy to follow way. If you enjoy sports and true life sports stories, I think this is a really really good one. It's just very approachable and written in a way that that I think makes it a good choice for independent reading. So that's called Unstoppable. The next book then is also a true story, totally different topic, is called Sisters of the War. So this is about the civil war in Syria. So it's about kind of current events, things that are going on in the world right now. And what happened was this news reporter, this journalist, decided she wanted to tell the story of the Syrian civil war. And after interviewing and going over there and kind of meeting people, she decided to follow these two sisters, two groups of sisters on either side of the civil war. And you see what they live through, what they go through, the fear they have to kind of live with every day. Bombings happening around them, but still trying to lead normal lives. And it's really a touching story. Again, it connects with modern events. In a way, it's a war story, so it hits a lot of different check boxes as far as that goes. That's called Sisters of the War, and that is a newer book. We have not had that one very long. The next set of books will all be genre fiction. So these are going to hit in the virtual tour. You would have seen those the different letters that gave you something for each category. So I try to pick something from each category to give you an overview. And so first we have adventure. The adventure books are survival books, a lot of times outdoor books, also spy books or pirate books, books with like a lot of like just like action sort of oriented. Um, this one, Aftershocks, focuses on a survival story. It takes place. It really begins in California. These our two main characters meet at a laundromat. Their names are Ruby and Charlie. They've known each other all of 5 minutes, and suddenly everything around them begins to shake, and the world just collapses in on top of them. Um, and it's about what happens in the aftermath of this terrible 7.8 earthquake and what these characters have to do to survive. So that's called Aftershocks. If you like those survival stories, you might enjoy that. The next book is a fantasy book. So the fantasy section is going to have magic. It's going to have mystical creatures, dragons, chimera, things along those lines, and some type of magic element or unexplained element. In this one, we have a book called The Iron Trial. The main character's mother is presumably killed by magic. That he grows up being very fearful of magic and even of his own ability. When he comes of age, he's supposed to take something called the Iron Trial. It's basically a test to determine whether or not he has the aptitude for magic. And if he passes it, he must then be trained. He desperately wants to fail this test. He really wants to just leave magic behind and not have anything to do with it. But he passes, and from there it goes on to his training. Goes on to sort of the dark undersides of this magic, and also the conspiracy. He really uncovers a conspiracy about his mother's death, and so it becomes a little bit of a mystery book also. So if you like those elements, some action adventure in this one too, although it's got that fantasy magic component. Near fantasy and often grouped in with fantasy is science fiction. So science fiction is going to take place on perhaps other planets or have, artificial intelligence or perhaps maybe just some new type of technology that alters lives, something that's developed. This one's pretty far out there. It is called The Knife of Never Letting Go by Patrick Ness. You're not sure if you're on Earth or another planet, but you're with a colony of about 100 people. They're all men when the book begins, and they can read each other's minds. Everyone there can hear everyone else's thoughts all the time. There's no way to shut it off. And you can only imagine what living like that would be like in this with these other people who constantly know what you are thinking. Our main character ends up finding he goes out to the swamp and he's exploring, and he's there with his dog who he can also communicate with. He can read his dog's mind, and that provides one of the more like kind of comical relationships in the book. It's very, very funny exchanges. And while they're out at this swamp, they find a girl, and they have never seen a girl before in their lives, and they can't read her mind. She is different than them, and they immediately realize the kind of the threat that they're under, and he begins to worry about what the other people in his community are going to do to her. And so they're on the run, and they're trying to escape from this this area to get out and kind of find out what else is out there. And so it's called The Knife of Never Letting Go. Like I said, if you enjoy science fiction, you might like that one, but also you can check out the science fiction genre. The next book I have is a horror book. This one's called Survive the Night. Survive the Night is by Daniel Vega. It's got just a creepy opening premise. We have a main character who actually is just coming out of rehab. She has had some addiction issues and some problems. Her friends talk her into going to this party that is in an underground nightclub. It's actually part of a condemned part of the New York City subway, and they go there. The party is crazy, and of course there are a lot of temptations for her that she has to sort of stay away from. She doesn't like it. She regrets going almost immediately because she knows she's trying to get clean. And she goes to look for one of her friends and can't find her. Eventually, she goes down one of the hallways in the subway and finds her friend dead. And it goes from there to they essentially all kind of begin to freak out, and they leave that part. They go back to the party to really to go out and to get help. When they go back, everyone is gone, and they realize they are locked in, they are stuck, and so now they're left wandering these subways in the dark, um, trying to find a way out. And they believe that something or someone is hunting them. And it kind of, again, it's a horror book, so the element of creepiness here is pretty high. That's called Survive the Night. If you enjoy those types, um, some of the horror are maybe more fun and less creepy than that one. So we do have some like comedy horrors also, so you can browse through those books and see. The next book that I have here is called The Silence of Six. This is a techno thriller. It's a mystery suspense novel. You have a hacker who uncovers and steals some proprietary information from a corporation, something they definitely don't want out there. And he steals it and leaves some information for his friend, but then kills himself. You don't know why, but clearly the information he's stolen has led to some very bad people finding him, and he is very, very worried. Our main character then has to try to figure out what has been down, what have they discovered, try to figure out and put together the pieces of this mystery. Would they threaten? Um, why would they threaten them? And what is this information, and why is it so important? So it's called The Silence of Six. As I said, it's kind of like a technology thriller. The next book I have here is called 180 Seconds. We have this one under romance. Romance is really a genre that's focused on relationships, and they can be positive or negative. Sometimes we have romantic comedies in romance. Sometimes we have sort of just heartbreaking stories. Sometimes we have stories about really terrible relationships and how they go wrong. 180 Seconds starts with a college student. She is a sophomore, kind of has kept to herself, but she ends up at this event for for I think it's YouTube, for a YouTuber. It might be social media, and this person has a ton of followers. He's doing this weird challenge where basically they kind of sit and and have this exchange, this conversation in 180 seconds, and it's just like 3 minutes of kind of intense conversation. um, and so she gets pulled into doing this and sits down across from this person and has this kind of deep, kind of meaningful exchange with cameras on and everything, and it alters both of their lives in very different ways. This very short conversation, and it's about the repercussions of kind of this viral video, of what they say to each other, and what that means afterwards. So it's a neat kind of a neat way to start the book off, and that's like I said, that's under the romance area, which is another genre you can check out. We'll move to sports now. This one's called Box Out by John Coy. Box Out focuses on a young man. Well, focuses on a basketball team who's is really kind of set to make a run. Looks like they could perhaps go into playoffs, maybe go farther. And then their starting center, who is extremely tall and kind of dominant, gets a season-ending injury, and they are desperate to find a replacement. So they recruit this guy who is, while he is tall, has never played much basketball and isn't exactly coordinated, but he fits the physical profile of what they need to run their offense. And so they bring him in. And it's about his journey of kind of becoming this like sports, the pressure of the sport that he all of a sudden has to deal with in his senior year, even though this isn't anything he's kind of done before, and it's about kind of whether he can rise to that challenge or not, and also help to carry the team through the playoffs. So if you like sports action, you might like Box Out. The next book here is called Winter Girls. So teen books. This is in the teen genre. Teen books are going to be books with teenage protagonists. So the main character is going to be a teenager who is dealing with realistic or real life issues. Now, these can be a really wide range of different things. Some of them will be about obsessive compulsive disorder, is one that I mentioned the other day. Perhaps racism or suicide or um, homelessness, issues of abuse, things like that. So a lot of the teen books do tend to be pretty serious. There are some that are more lighthearted. They're more about just getting through high school, and there's a bit of a comedy element to them too. And some are far more serious. So you kind of got to pick and choose between the teen for what you're looking for. Winter Girls is deals with anorexia and bulimia, eating disorders. You have two main characters here who they kind of make a vow to one another that they will become as thin as possible. That is, they're going to lose as much weight and to maintain that loss. And they really kind of build off one another. And as they do that, they spiral through their eating disorder, getting worse and worse and worse until finally one of them dies. And the one who survives now, her best friend, is gone, and she's partly responsible. But on top of that, she still has an eating disorder that didn't just go away because her friend died. And it's about the repercussions of her choices, but also trying to deal with something that is that she really needs help to try to get through. So that's called Winter Girls. Again, pretty serious topics in some of those teen books. I'll leave you then with the last genre is a war genre. This one's called The Enemy Above. The war books can be any war from any time period, so they really range as far as that goes. We also include in the war genre our Holocaust literature. So that would, if you're thinking of if you're interested in reading anything along those lines, perhaps some of you maybe read Night for your classes or remember reading that. This is the same genre where you'd find books like that. The Enemy Above is a World War II story. It takes place in the Ukraine. The Nazis invade this Ukrainian town, and the Nazis do take over the Ukraine during the early parts of World War II. And this town is overrun, and many of the town's residents seek refuge in the caves and the caverns that are near their town, and so they essentially escape to these caves, and they set up they kind of set up a community there and a resistance. And this is about this kind of underground, literally underground resistance, where they are using these caves to kind of transport information and people and things sort of directly underneath of their Nazi occupied town. And so if you're interested in war books, please check out the war section. Of course, there are some more modern ones too, ones that would be take place in Afghanistan or Iraq or other places that where we've had some recent conflicts. Those are the different genres. You are welcome to look for those books in Koha, and you can place them on hold. They're available right now, unless someone else got to them already. But you can also, if you have questions or need a suggestion, you can email me. If you tell me, "Hey, I want a thriller. Do you have a couple options for me to pick from?" I can try to give you a few to look through. I'll give those to Mrs. Mayo, and then you can pick from the pile. Or if you just have a question on a book that you need, let me know. But otherwise, best of luck, and I hope to see you soon.